In this exercise, we'll learn how to prepare a set of panels for production. We'll start with this pre-existing set of panels, and the first thing we'll do is use the Panel Arrange tool to space these panels out horizontally, with the panels oriented vertically. We'll first go to the options under the Panel Arrange tool, and we'll specify a panel spacing value. For this example, we'll use a panel spacing of 1 meter. Click OK. Then select all of the panels and run the tool. Now we have our same panels spaced out horizontally. Before we move on to the next step, however, we'll go ahead and make a copy of this set of panels, and we'll put it over here. And throughout this exercise, we'll continue to copy the panels after each section so that by the end we'll be able to look back at our progress step by step. Now we're going to compensate the panels using the In-Panel Compensate Panels tool. This means that we'll deliberately shrink the panels so that when they are stretched to their true size, they are pre-stressed. If we don't do this, the fabric will be loose when it is installed. The amount of compensation required depends on the fabric and the pre-stress required. Here we're specifying a 3% weft with a 3% warp and a simple shrink. Select all the panels and run the tool. When we compare the new panels in white to the old panels in red, we can clearly see how the new panels have been shrunk. The next thing we'll do is add a seam allowance. First we'll make a copy of this set of panels like we did last time. Just put it right over here. And then we'll go to the options under the Seam Panels tool. Usually, we would specify different seams on different edges, but to keep things simple here, we'll just specify a normal seam with a width of 0.1 on all sides. We'll also specify guidelines to show where the next panel attaches, along with 17 lineup marks on the right and left edges to help in assembly. Click OK, select all the panels, and run the tool. When we zoom in, we can see the new seam, along with the 17 lineup marks. Now we'll move on to the stamping section. Let's go to the Stamping Options, and we'll elect to stamp the panels according to the panel ID number, which is the same number that up to now has been in the middle of each panel for reference purposes. This set of panels was labeled 52 to 59. We'll also include a warp line, which reminds us which way the fabric goes, and we'll specify a stamp length of 1. Click OK, select all the panels, and run the tool. Still running. On each panel we now have a warp line and a panel ID number in the bottom seam. Now we'll output the panel. Let's make a copy again. Put it right here. And then go to the Output Panel Options. If the panel is going to an automated cutter, we'll use the Polylines Output option. The panel has to be split into different layers, such as C for cut, A for annotation, etc. You can customize the terms used to describe each layer to suit the specific requirements of the machine you're using. Click OK, select all the panels, and run the tool. Still running. In this example, I've specified different colors for each layer in order to distinguish them. Let's take a closer look. Now all of our different markings are on a different color marked layer. If the panel is not going to an automated cutting machine, but is instead going to be hand cut, then we output the node coordinates. Let's return to the output options. This time, instead of choosing polylines, we'll choose XY coordinates. Click OK, and this time we'll just select one or two panels to demonstrate, and run the tool. Now we have all of the individual coordinates of the panel, which can be used to cut the panel by hand. Another more basic output option is the skeleton drawing. This shows the main dimensions and the amount of curvature on each edge. While this can be used for production, it is also helpful when double-checking the panels. It's important to realize that once the panels have been converted for output, they can no longer be used in InPanel for any further operations. We are now finished with our exercise, and we've learned how to output panels for production. If we zoom out, we can review each stage of our progress.